Hello to all my friends and family, and a Happy New Year. Happy New 2021, and let's hope that this year is going to be a much better year than 2020 in many ways. And what I'd like to do is just finish off a book summary deep dive that I initiated a few days ago. And for those who have been following me, you'll be aware that I've come across a book called Factfullness by an author named Hans Rosling. And this wonderful author in this wonderful book has identified 10 instincts, 10 go-to behaviors that we humans have and we've had for forever and a day. But what the author is able to highlight and show to us is that while these instincts, these 10 instincts that we've had with us forever and a day may have been useful in days gone by, in today's world, in today's day and age, a lot of these instincts are now redundant and not needed. And if anything, not only are they redundant, but these 10 instincts actually distort our modern perspective of the world, of the way the world is, and prevent us from seeing how the world really is. So not only are these go-to instincts, these habits, these beliefs redundant, they're also limiting us from experiencing the world as it really is. So I went through 9 of the instincts and did a deep dive because they were so interesting and so powerful. I decided to spend a little bit more time and dedicate 10 5 a.m. clubs to these specific instincts, these specific 10 instincts, and I did one per 5 a.m. club. And the last one of the instincts that I've got to present today is called the destiny instinct. And what we'll do is we'll just go on a bit of a journey, discuss it, and see where it leads us. But the destiny instinct, from what the author says, is quite limiting, because what it does is it puts a cap on our beliefs, on our dreams, and on our expression as people. In days gone by, depending on what family you were born into, whether or not, depending on what colour you were, depending on your financial circumstances, depending on the health of your parents, depending on your health, depending on many things, will determine what you're able to do and achieve within your lifetime. But the world has come a long way since then, with technology, with welfare systems, with education systems, where both male and females are being educated to the highest levels these days. More so that females, for the past decade or more, have excelled academically and are leading the boys when it comes to academic pursuits. And it just goes to show that the world today in 2021, and I can say 2021 because we've clicked over the calendar, that the world today is a much different place to what it was when our parents grew up, when our grandparents grew up, when our great-grandparents grew up, and also many of our former ancestors. But let's have a look and specifically focus in on this destiny instinct, because the destiny instinct suggests that people all of a sudden have this belief that assumes that things are the way they are because of inescapable reasons, and things will never change as they have always been this particular way. But as I indicated before, within a decade or 2 decades, the world has dramatically changed. And I'm proud to be a father of 2 daughters, and also a grandfather of 2 granddaughters. And I remember years ago when I fathered my second daughter, one of the relatives that we had, who has since passed away, but I still love them, rang my father and said to him, I've heard that you've got a second granddaughter. Don't worry. And it was more of a consolation prize. Instead of congratulating my father and saying how lucky you are to have a healthy baby in your life, was ringing him to have a bit of a dig at him and just suggest to him that the fact that he's got a second granddaughter is something to be ashamed of, or something not to be proud of. Anyway, years have passed since then, and I've been a proud father, as I said, of 2 daughters who basically gave me more than what 2 sons could have ever given me. From an academic perspective, from a sporting perspective, from a friendship and a pareja perspective. They're always around, they're always calling me, and I feel as if they really love me. But where am I leading with this? I'll get to my point. The point that I want to try and make is that in today's world, I tell lots of people, especially the people who have girls and daughters, that there has never been a better time in the history of mankind to be a father or a parent of a girl. Because the world is designed to help women these days make the most of it. Because women have the skills that are required to make the most of the environment as it is today. Women are far better these days than men, and have a think about it. When it comes to networking, when it comes to catching up, when it comes to communicating, when it comes to social media and all of that, they are socially more active, and they support themselves in a way which is remarkable. And you can see from a career perspective, from an academic perspective, from a social perspective, that the world is a better place for women today than what it may have been 2 or 3 generations ago. So I always say to people, there's never been a better time in the history of mankind to be a father, a mother, a grandparent, a relative of a newborn girl. But this whole destiny instinct is something that we need to have a look at and discuss, because there are some people who just give up in life, saying that, look, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not charismatic enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not 1,000,001 things, and I'll never be able to become whatever they want to become, because they come up with every excuse in the world to suggest that they can't do it. But the author is saying that this whole destiny instinct, that we can't get there because of A, B and C reason, is no longer relevant, especially here in Sydney, in Australia. Now, whatever you want to be, and my girls went to a top private school, Abbottsley, and the call cry at Abbottsley is that girls can do anything, women can do anything they set their minds to. And there's no doubt that you look across the world at the leadership. It's only a matter of time that the leader of the most powerful nation in the world, the USA, is going to be a woman. Just recently, just now, this past week, we've seen Gladys and the health minister, a team of women, doing a superlative and excellent and outstanding job to get this COVID outbreak under control and to keep us safe, but not only to keep us safe from a health perspective, they're also keeping us safe from an economic perspective because they're bringing a balance. To a certain extent, they're very, very practical, and so practical that you'd think that they're men in terms of the way they're being practical. But they're using their network skills, they're using their influence skills, they're using their ability to communicate, to connect with the public and people, and to comfort people, to make us feel as if it's all okay, it's all under control, and we don't need to have knee-jerk reactions to get things done. But the point of this 5 a.m. club and this Destiny Instinct is to make everyone understand, both men and women, able and disabled, to understand that anything is possible if you set your mind to it and you work towards it, and you surround yourself with people who will be wind beneath your wings, because you need a lot of people to want you to be successful in order to be successful. There's no doubt about that. But the author talks about the importance of understanding that we mustn't generalize and think that because we haven't been born into a culture or a family, or we haven't been to the best schools or have the best credentials, that we can't rise above that. I remember years ago going to a seminar by Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn said very, very clearly, a university education will give you a paycheck, will make you comfortable. But he said self-education will turn you into a billionaire. There's nothing you can't achieve if you take on self-education and you spend the rest of your life becoming a life student. So as they're saying here, we mustn't generalize, we mustn't put ceilings or limitations on what we can do, because we know that through small incremental steps and purposeful practice, then we can make huge inroads, and things snowball as time goes by, because time is your friend. If you're an incremental, if you use compound interest or compound actions over time, you get that snowballing effect, that compounding effect. And whilst we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, most people, and this is a fact, most people grossly underestimate what can be achieved in 10 years. And that's something I got from an Anthony Robbins seminar 20, 30 years ago. We've got to understand that change sometimes happens slowly. But it doesn't matter if the change is slow, as long as it's progressing, it's progressive, it's moving, and it's taking you in the right direction. That's the key to understand, and to not think that you're limited because of your preconceptions, but just to work at it, stick to it, focus on it. And we need to continually update our knowledge, because everything's changing. Cultures are changing, countries are changing. They're constantly changing. The Greece that my parents left back in the mid-50s is not the Greece that is there today. Greece leapt ahead, moved ahead, both culturally, socially, and in many, many ways. And for a lot of times, my parents, whenever they went back to Greece, they were shocked at how it changed. You know, it's debatable if the change has been for the better or for the worse. That's a different discussion altogether. But the important thing to understand is that the world is constantly changing, we are constantly changing, and what we mustn't do is stick to the past and think that we can't do things because of the mindset that our parents and grandparents had in the past. And the other thing that the author talks about is that this very thing, that people's values change, and they change for the better or for the worse. As we said before, that's a different debate. But one of the jobs as parents is to pass on the values to our children and grandchildren, and to help them grow and develop and use the knowledge, the wisdoms that have been accumulated in our families over generations. My forefathers fought in a war of independence. My forefathers and foreparents, our ancestors, my ancestors, lived through 400 years of Ottoman oppression. I don't know who the first Christian is in my linkage, my Christian linkage. It could be 2,000 years ago, back when St. Paul was preaching all around Greece, or it could have been, during the Ottoman occupation, where the Greeks cocooned and become stronger as a culture and kept their language, their religion, and all of those things intact. It could have been 3 or 4 generations ago. We don't know. But one thing I do know is that my job as a member of this huge unbroken chain is to pass on the culture, the religion, the knowledge, the wisdoms to my children and grandchildren, but also accept that they're going to make mistakes along the way. But as my mother used to say to me, one of the key things that we have to do in our lives is to take as whole what's being given to us, add to it, of course, supplement it, complement it, embellish it with new things, but don't eliminate, don't change those core values, those core learnings that we've had handed to us, unless they don't serve us. And as we said, times are changing, but what I've found is that the core values that I've had passed to me from my parents are more relevant now than what they were in my parents' generation. So that's something to think about and to mull over. So thank you very much for joining me on this particular Jim's 5am Club. And what I'll do is I'll finish off with just reading through quickly what each of those 10 instincts were that we've covered over the past 10 Jim's 5am Clubs. And the first one was the gap instinct. The second one was the negativity instinct. The third one was the straight line instinct. Then we had the fear instinct, the size instinct, the generalization instinct, the destiny instinct, which we just did now, the single perspective instinct, the blame instinct, and the last one was the urgency instinct. So thank you once again. And what I'll do is I'll finish off with a positive affirmation like we normally do. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, be a life learner. And let's take some of these lessons from the book Factfullness by Hans Rosling, and make sure that we don't fall victim and get entrapped by these 10 instincts that distort our perspective of the world and prevent us from seeing the world in terms of how it is, and don't allow us to grow, develop and turn into the person that we're destined to be, the person whose birthright was to become whatever their calling was, their calling or callings were. Anyway, thank you very much once again, and I'll come to you again tomorrow at 5 a.m. from a different location, hopefully, with a different message, a message of empowerment. We'll go on a volta, have a chat, see where it leads us. It's unscripted, it's unedited, it's uncensored, it's unorganized, it's on everything. But it's an authentic, it's an authentic journey, and it comes from the heart. And hopefully it can be something that we can use. But I've got to tell you, I am gaining by doing these 5 a.m. clubs. I'm not sure what's happening on the other end in terms of the audience, but time will tell. All I know is I'm expressing myself. This is a calling that I'm enjoying, and I've surpassed 600 vlogs, and I'm well on the way to achieving my 1,000 vlogs, which hopefully I can do before my 61st birthday. Anyway, namita polilogao. I won't continue chatting. We'll see you again, and I'll come to you again, as I said, from another place with another message, and we'll have a chat again. Yasas, take care. Filaki, kisses to everybody, and we'll be back together. Bye for now, God willing. Bye.